Okay, so this is just a quick presentation about online accessibility. I have shared this sometimes before in that we have social media groups in Trinity, so I might have sent on slides, but might benefit from the explanation behind it. So this is just an example about captioning. As I've said, like there is a lot more videos, thankfully, that are captioned. I'm profoundly deaf myself, so I really appreciate when videos are captioned, so I can engage in content. So this is just an example of a video of, so I'll play the video. So can you understand what is being said in this video? So the point of this video is to show that, you know, obviously if you are deaf or profoundly deaf or have hearing issues, you're not going to be able to hear the video. So that's why it is so important to have closed captioning or subtitles on video content. And there is ways and means going about it, because a lot of social media just admitting more people. And yeah, so a lot of social media don't have automatic subtitles except for YouTube, which I'll go into in a second. This is just saying without captions, a person who is deaf or hard of hearing will not be able to know what your video is about. So that's why it's important to subtitle videos. And these are just examples of apps that can be used to caption videos. So in the disability service, we use Capwing. So there is a free version, but there's also a paid version. So it is definitely beneficial, because especially if there is video, it's a video editing software as well. So it's basically 2 for 1. So it's a really good tool to use. And then you might be familiar about YouTube automatic captions. So any video that you upload onto YouTube, it will generate automatic captions, but you must go back and edit it, because technology tries to be more advanced in this area, it still has a lot more work to do. And you know, there might be things like, say if there's people with Irish names, like sometimes it doesn't pick that up properly, so just to go back and edit it. But it does do a good of a job that wouldn't take too much time. And then Captions is just a smartphone app. So there's a few different smartphone apps that you can use for captioning videos. So this would be good for if you're putting up an Instagram story or a video through social media that it's easier to put up on your phone. An app like Captions is a good way to start. There's also a few different ones as well. So if you just go onto the Android or the Apple store, there should be a lot of different options there. And then for more professional content that, you know, maybe that you need urgently, or that you need to ensure that you might have enough time to get this done and produced, and just want to make sure that it's done to the best way possible. Rev.com is very good for that, but it is then charged per hour. But for projects that we've used in the past, we have used Rev, so we did find that useful. And then so for specific social media platforms, Instagram stories does have the options to put on closed captioning. So this would be good if, say, students were talking in a video for your college social media accounts, that this is subtitled. And then also if you use TikTok, if you do or you don't, there is you can put subtitles on that. So that's just useful to know. And then this is just around accessible hashtags. So hashtags can be found on Instagram, Twitter, on Facebook, but it's definitely mostly used on Twitter. But in terms of the accessibility of a hashtag, it is more accessible to use camel case. So camel case is the start of every letter is capitalized. So this is just an example of a positive, like a good example. So this is just a really long one. So if you use camel case to ensure hashtags are accessible for people using screen readers, because without camel case, hashtags are not accessible. So the reason for this is, if this is read out through a screen reader that people who are visually impaired will use, this will separate the words, whereas like this hashtag with the lowercase will read it as one whole word. So it's just clearer to do it like that. And then to do that instead of like using all caps as well for a hashtag. It'll have the same effect as the lowercase. And yes, that is just for hashtags. And then also just if you want to pop anything in the chat, feel free to do that, because at the end I'm going to have a lot of time to answer questions. So if you have any questions on specific parts, feel free to put it into the chat. So this section is just around alt text. So this is just an example of this image contains important information. So in the square, it is a blank screen. So can you understand what text and the text and image? So that's just kind of showing that if you are a person that's blind or visually impaired, you mightn't be able to engage with content that's in graphics, and that sometimes is the main form of communication, even through Instagram, because it is based on the photo. So if you had, you know, an important event coming up and you had all the details of when it's going to be, its location, and what it's about on the graphic, but then there's no kind of information on the caption, really, a person who's blind or visually impaired won't be able to engage with that content. They'll probably end up missing the event as well. So that's just showing that it is really important to have alt text, because alt text will describe what is in the image, what the image says to a person who's using a screen reader. So without alt text, the images you post will not be picked up by screen readers. And this is just an example of how to use alt text. So this was asked, this has been asked to me a good bit, just in terms of like how descriptive you should be, how long of a text should you be adding to it. So this is just describing visuals with alt text. So this is just an example of a stack of pancakes. So a good, like an okay alt text would just be pancakes. So that's not really giving much detail, but it is giving what it is. So, but to make this better, it would be better to say just a stack of blueberry pancakes with sugar sprinkled on top. So I always like even give an example of like what would probably be like, say, too much alt text, because sometimes if it's, you're not really sure, like if you were to give, you want to say too much, you'd probably like be counting how many blueberries are in the picture, how many pancakes are in the picture, that, you know, it's on a white plate and there's a white mocha background. Like obviously as much detail as possible is required, but definitely just to stick with the, you know, the core parts of the images. So if you're in doubt, pretend you're describing the image to someone over the phone. So I feel like this is a good kind of tool to consider, like if you're on the phone and you see you know, something on the street and you want to describe it to your friend what it is, like it's the same with what you would do for alt text. So it's just a good thing to remember if you are ever a bit stuck about how to use alt text. So if image is purely decorative, use alts. If an image is decorative, I still do describe it, so I would recommend to do that also. But if it is just mostly text, then you would just say image includes text saying event is on campus at this time, etc. So I just added to use Chrome Edge extension alt text viewer to check if alt text is available. So I'm going to show you that at the end. So it's a really handy tool to just have, and even just check your own social media, or even if you're, you know, curious how other platforms have used alt text, it is a good tool to use. So this is just regarding online accessibility. So this is just in terms of like color contrasts, font size, and font type. So this is just an example of a bad example of color contrast. So online accessibility, it is important to use fonts and colors that are accessible on social media. Graphics like this are inaccessible to people with visual impairments, who are colorblind, and people with learning difficulties. So I'll have more information on what does count as good color contrast, both in terms of like the font is very decorative and it is difficult to make out. So to ensure that people with disabilities or people with print disabilities can engage with the content to keep it as clear as possible. So this is just an example of what fonts and font size is good to use. So one of the most accessible and most widely available fonts is Arial. Others include Calibri, Century Gothic, Helvetica, Tahoma, and Verdana. So that can be all found on Word, but for graphics that I use, you might use Adobe, but I use Canva, and then I would download them onto PowerPoint or download them as an image and then use alt text for them. There is similar versions of these fonts on Canva. All you have to do is kind of look it up and it'll give examples of fonts to use. And then the minimum font size is 12. So it's best to have it. So in terms of like writing emails or text, size 12 definitely, or higher, and the same for graphics, because if it is too small, it won't be able to engage in the content. And then to add emphasis, use bold to add emphasis rather than italics or uppercase. So this is kind of a big thing, like a lot of social media graphics can use uppercase, but actually it would be more accessible to use bold and then just camel case instead of uppercase. Yes, I can just see somebody said, will you be sending this PowerPoint to attendees? Yes, I can do that. No problem. I've got more content as well in a folder, so I can send that on. No problem. This is just an example of good and poor color contrast, because sometimes this, like, I have difficulties figuring out this as well, like how to ensure that it is going to be clear. But it has been said that if you to know if there is a good color contrast is that if you can put it into black and white, can you still see the text? So in the sense here, like red and green is like notoriously bad for people with color blindness, so it's not the best color combination. And then because the text is too light here, if this was in black and white, you wouldn't be able to make out the text. But instead, like, this is good color choice because it is dark background and then lighter. There's more examples of bad and good examples. So blue on black is hard to read. Yellow on black is good. Black on orange is good. So I would stick to if it is a lighter background, then a darker font, and then for if it is a darker background for white, it can be used for a white font. So like there is obviously ways and means of just kind of checking that out. Like even if you wanted to test it out and print it onto a photocopier and you're printing in black and white, if you can see that you can still see the font, if it's in black and white, then it is a good color contrast. And this is just in terms of spacing in text. So to increase line spacing on text and graphics to improve readability. So if all the letters are all kind of like squished together, that can be difficult to read. And then to use paragraphs, bullet points, or numbered list to break down larger pieces of text up. So that could be even like, I know with say if it is like an email, like in the disability services, there's specific points that we want to make, and they're very different and don't need to be in one section. We do use bullet points to break down the information, and then put important dates in bold as well, and then to put full stops at the end of sentences. So that's just good practice as well. But then in terms of like a screen reader reading it, say if there was no full stop here, it would just continue on and read that as two sentences. So it's good to just break it up as well, just in terms of like consistency and to just for screen readers as well. And this is just a quick video on how to add accessible hashtags and alt text on Instagram. So this is just an example of a photo where just the disability service visiting Prince House Square. So as what's typed here is accessible hashtag with camel case. So capital P, capital H, capital S for Prince House Square. And the same with Trinity College Dublin, all capital letters for camel case. And then for alt text, if you go to the advanced settings down the bottom, so you can also add alt text if you're using Instagram on your desktop as well. It'll be like 3 buttons for more information. So to write alt text. So this is just an example of how I'm describing the photo. So a member of the disability service. So it is just a photo of a man crossing his arms, wearing a yellow Visi jacket, in a high vis jacket. And yeah, as it's just a video of me typing, it's a bit slow, but it's just good to know whereabouts it is on Instagram, because it is quite down the bottom where it says advanced settings, so it's not immediately noticeable. So yeah, that's just kind of the video. That's me being quite descriptive there. So a member of the disability service in a high vis jacket, helmet, with their arms crossed. And then that is ready to share. So that's just Instagram. And the same would be here on Twitter. So I'll just go back because I think that just jumped. Yeah, so I clicked the photo and it said add alt. So it's the same with the desktop app. And as I said, it's the same description. So that, and then that's ready to post. So that's the alt is just there whenever you put a photo, and then you can go back and check your own social media. And on Twitter it does say that you have added alt text, but people without a screen reader can't see that you have used alt text for that. And this is just for Facebook. So it's similar enough, like you select the photo and then it says edit alt text, and then the same. So it's good as it add alt text for describes contents for photos for people with visual impairments. So it's the same. The only issues with alt text on Facebook and on Instagram is that if you do use a scheduling tool to upload your post at a certain time of day, or you have a content calendar, you can't schedule alt text onto Facebook and Instagram, but you can schedule it onto Twitter, which is very good. If there is stuff on the disability service where we have planned it out, a post, in advance, you can go back and edit the post. So say if I had an Instagram post scheduled for today, I can't add alt text then, but when it is published, I can go back and edit it and add the alt text then. So it's just making sure to remember to go back and edit it if you do need to schedule posts. But for myself, I just upload it when I'm going to post it, because then I can put the alt text and have that done. So this is just this goes away from social media a bit, but this was I did make this presentation when a lot of events were online, so it is good stuff to keep in mind as well. So just in terms of accessibility requirements, so to send out an accessibility requirements Google form prior to the event. So this especially important if there is people who want to attend that require ISL interpreters, so to just have that ready in advance. And then just in terms of planning icebreakers, so this might be something that you might be doing online but also doing in person. There is a bit of a kind of conversation there with that, certain icebreakers can be being more exclusionary than others. Say that like there's ones where, say if there's like a Chinese whispers sort of icebreaker that's not accessible for people with hearing loss because it requires them to listen to what the other person said and then repeat that back. Or if there's icebreakers like fruit, I think it's called fruit salad, where you have to like move to a different part of the room that's not going to be the most accessible option for those with physical disabilities. So I know this is moving away from social media, but it is good to just note that there is, and especially the aim of the icebreaker is to make people feel comfortable. So to try and pick one that will be most suitable for the group, and then to hold events at a reasonable time. So if it is too late at the night, this might be a good time for those with fatigue, and then to schedule breaks. So that's definitely important if there is an event that's say an hour or 2 hours long, to make sure to have a 10 and 15-minute break at the end. And then in terms of speaking, so this, I think, like I've seen, as I've said this before, I'm not an expert in this area, but in a lot of webinars there, in terms of for accessibility for those with visual impairments, people have like said who is speaking beforehand. So say if somebody was to speak now, I can see like Louise is here, Louise would probably be like, Louise is speaking. It's just to differentiate who is speaking, and then to be clear on instructions. So I probably have flown through that, but I hope that part was helpful. And as I said, any questions, I can definitely go through it. But this is just a small quiz, and if you can there's no right or wrong answers with this. Oh, Aisling said, describe what a screen reader is. Then how did you record yourself doing that? Oh, was that just the subtitle, the alt text? I would have screen recorded the video before the presentation. So that's, and then I can just add that then to the presentation. So screen record on your iPhone works well. You can also do screen record on your desktop as well. And then Aisling asked about, could you describe a screen reader? So screen reader can be a software that a person that is blind or visually impaired has, that will read back the content that is available. So as I said, if there is social media posts, they will be able to go on it, and then their screen reader will read out the caption that's there, and then screen readers kind of role will change depending on the material. So say if it was a PDF document, there's PDF accessibility is different, it's a whole different ball game there, but basically you have to like tag paragraphs as well to make sure it comes in order comes into order, so the screen reader does read it in order. But I can then send in more, I can add more information on screen reader when I send on the slides as well, just so everybody's clear. So as I said, this is just a small little quiz, and if you just want to add in the chat your answers, that would be great. Okay. Okay, so this isn't me just picking out, I just picked out any social media account, so I just picked Trinity's, and this is just an example of social media content, and we all have done something similar with this. So this is just an example of a photo. So this box here is just the alt text tool that I was talking about that I'll go through after this presentation. So what do you think from this image? You know, is it accessible? Is it not accessible? So there's a caption as well. If you just want to put into the chat, if you think, yeah, and feel free, like it's, you know, I probably flew through it anyway. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, thanks everybody for replying in the chat. But yeah, even with Andrea's point about she gave an example of a good alt text. So this the emojis, yeah, exactly. Yeah, so yeah, so this is the automatic alt text. So this is what the alt text would pick up. So maybe an image of outdoors. So alt text will try and find what it is, but basically like an image of outdoors, that's not really describing what is in the image. And Andrea gave an example of a good alt text, it's outside Trinity Front Square, graduate, you could say the Graduate Memorial Building is in view. It's a nice blue sunny day, and there's a statue with a mask on. So, and even the point with the captions, like even if they're, they didn't have all text, there wasn't much information then on what is the image about, and emojis can be challenging to pick up what it is. And then this is just, so yeah, this is just the next one. So yeah, so the emojis are inaccessible, and there's no alt text. Someone who cannot see the photo will have no idea what it depicts. And this is just another example. So this is just a caption of a social media post. I think it was on Facebook. If you have any ideas if this is or isn't accessible, or what could be changed in this to make it accessible. Okay. Hashtags are not in camel case. Hey, okay, everybody's picked that up. Okay, cool. So yeah, so camel case is what's missing here, but it is a thing that people have commonly done. And also in terms of another point, if we're going further into this, it's better to have hashtags at the end of a sentence rather than in between, just in terms, because a screen reader wouldn't be able to pick that up, or it has a nicer flow if you just had like, you choose reducing consumables, imagine green spaces, and then maybe like full stop, and then say hashtag green spaces, hashtag reducing consumables, would be a better way of doing that. So that is perfect. That is all from my slides there. So I'm just going to stop sharing there. Stop sharing. And yeah, perfect. I'm just going to screen share the alt text and the alt text thing just to show you all what the tool looks like. And this is just an example of with the co-op's social media. Okay, can everybody see that?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So this is the tool that I was talking about. So this can be downloaded on Google Chrome, or it can also be downloaded on Microsoft Edge. So there's a few different versions. So this is just alt text texter. So you can just download on the extension store. So this is just an example of the Ability Co-op social media. So this is an alt text that was added here. So as you can see in the photo, there is planning accessible campaign events. So this alt text has a light green infographic of a calendar on the date February 22 with the title Planning Accessible Campaign Events. And then this one has a lot more information. So a diagram showing a room of various ways in which it's accessible. It has accessible facilities. So like this alt text would be quite long. So if something didn't have alt text, it would say no alt text found, or it would say maybe an image of X, Y, and Z. So yeah, that's just a really good tool to have, as I said, if you're not sure if your alt text is up on social media, or if you're not sure if you're doing alt text the way other social media channels are using it. This is just a good tool to just to have. So I'm just going to stop